Hello! Well, as you know on this channel, we do like to do lots and lots of different things. So, by way of a little bit of a change, we're going to do a little bit of 28mm historical. And the next one we're going to do is a Warlord Games U.S. Airborne or Paratrooper. So this is going to be very much along the lines of Band of Brothers, D-Day, that sort of thing. Saving Private Ryan a little, I suppose, if they're in there. Can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen them. But this is the older sprue from Warlord Games. And much like all Warlord Games sprues, it has obviously multiple parts, and we've got enough pieces here to make 6 paratroopers. And all manner of kit and equipment. There's light machine guns, there's various types of personal weapons that you can do. So with one sprue, you can very easily build the basis of a very small but well-equipped squad. And that's how Warlords seem to do it, which is great. So even if you don't get a box set, if you fancy to go, you can always pick yourself up a sprue on its own. And Warlord do often sell sprues individually. And some bases. We've got their own style plastic bases here, which we're going to make use of. And we'll make ourselves a paratrooper just to start with and see how we get on. So I guess what we're going to look at first of all is which body to use. So let's do a nice average standing. I think this guy here looks like he's kind of in the mix, ready to go. So let's, using our clippers, I'm just going to snip off and using the flat bit, keep it as close to the miniature as possible. Saves us a bit of cleaning time later on. So there's a body. And what do we need? A weapon now. I think there's some... You can get weapons in 2 parts. So obviously you've got a left and a right hand here that fit together. You see the hand is already cupping the weapon in question. We've got BARs, that's an automatic rifle. We've got M1 Garands, and you've got Thompson submachine guns as well. And sometimes Warlord very nicely do the 2 arms ready to go. Now this is a Garand with a carbine version, so let's make use of that one because it's a nice easy build here. So let's just snip them off. 1 and 2. There's the arms. Goes away. Now what do we need next? Shall we get a backpack? So there's backpacks with equipment here. Let's just pick the first one we'll do. A backpack. Yeah, it looks like a water bottle, another pouch, and an entrenching tool here as well. A little spade attachment in a cover. That'll do nicely. And I think last of all, a head. Now, lots of different heads here. So we've got ones with camo netting, as they had on the D-Day drop. Ones with no camo netting, for maybe a bit later when they removed those, moved more inland on the breakout from Normandy. You've got some sort of shouting ones there with the chin strap loose, and some interesting Mohican haircut ones on the parachute drop in Normandy. Some of the paratroopers cut their hair into a mohawk to emulate the Native American warriors of America, and similarly face painted themselves to look intimidating. And there's one with like a sort of garrison side cap as well. But I think for this one we'll just keep a normal trooper. Let's go for one of the you can see some quite expressive faces here. If you've seen Band of Brothers, I think he's about to ask what the hell the hold-up is, Captain Sobel. But in the meantime, let's go with... He looks like the sniper guy, doesn't he? Let's go with this. It's just a good, kind of normal, not particularly... not shouting, not silent, midpoint. Okay, so there we go. So we've got body, arms, head, and a backpack. And there's also all sorts of other little bits and pieces. You've got combat knives as well. There's a set of grenades. There's pistols for an officer. Also, got some various pointing arms. So you could build one of these as an officer or a senior NCO. He's pointing his direction. Got a pistol out. Also one with a pair of binoculars to observe the enemy. That'd be an interesting one. And some of the kneeling sculpts might be good for that as well. Right, so we're going to clip ourselves a base out as well. We'll do that like this, and then we've got all the parts ready to assemble. Now we've got all our parts, and we've given them a bit of a brief clean-up just by running the back of a craft knife just along any of the edges and the raised areas, get rid of any mould lines, just tidy those up. And I also find sometimes there's a bit of a scrape on the bottom of the feet. It's also going to help to glue it onto the base. So unlike the bases we've seen before, where they're all textured already, these you have to do yourself. Now, they've got a rather convenient little lip around them. So what we'll do is, when we've finished them, we're going to fill that with PVA glue and a little bit of modelling sand and let that dry, and then he'll be stood on the ground, as it were. So, from the bottom up, let's put a little blob of glue on the bottom of his feet, get him lined up. And what I'm going to try and do, just to help with the model generally, is try and get where the neck is going to be. Right there for you. Right pretty much in the middle of the base. And that just balances the model and also makes it fit and sit a little bit better. So as we look from the top, we should say that that's pretty much bang on the crosshairs in the middle. So blobs of super glue are good. Also, you could also use plastic cement, which is also quite good. That slightly melts the plastic and allows it to glue and stick better. What's also quite useful is various forms of super glue activator. Now, I tend to use those for fiddly builds because obviously a little spray of that onto one of the two parts, and that will mean it'll start to glue pretty much straight away. Oops, careful. Let's just push that in there. So now I will put that up a little. Just takes a little bit of fettling to get it into the right spot. Actually, it's having a more aggressive sort of shooting pose. There we go. That's quite good there. And we put a little blob of glue extra just on the feet, just to keep it going. There we go. A little more in there. Very good. Now, I think backpack next, then head. And we cut out a couple of little extra pieces, just by way of additional extras, and we picked some grenades and a medical pack. So the grenades will attach somewhere around his belt maybe, or up on his chest. Actually, if we push that down, it's not quite set yet, so we actually bring the rifle down a little, and then that'll give us an opportunity to maybe, if we've got space, attach the grenades in here, just as some extra visual interest. We'll fit the backpack. It's rather nicely got a little insert already cut into it, so you can literally just sit it on like that, and then we'll just fit the head wherever we want. It's got a rather nice ball socket there that fits, so we can either have him looking to one side as he's moving forward, or we could have him looking where he's going. I think we'll have him watching ahead as he's creeping through the streets of ruined parts of Normandy, perhaps on the breakout later. So we'll get that setting. Oops, it says. And we'll see you back with the finished item shortly. So our D-Day Paratrooper is all complete and assembled, and the glue's dried, and he's ready to do his bit for Uncle Sam. However, he does need a little bit more work, else at the moment he's just going to be fighting across a ballroom floor. So we're going to use some fairly average PVA white glue, so what you can get from any crafts bar, and we're going to use some sand. In this case, I've literally get a little plastic tub, one of the old tubs you get from a takeaway, and next time you go to the seaside, just go and fill it up with sand. Dry sand is the best to find stuff right at the top of the beach near the car park, and yeah, that's it's basic materials for free. If you're a bit too far from the seaside, you can buy boxes of sand from the modelling suppliers, and they do various scales as well. So to be fair, I tend to use a very, very fine grained sand for my 6mm models, just because it doesn't look out of scale that way. Because if you use too large a grain of sand, it can look like they're all clambering over boulders. So we have an old brush here, one of my old regiment brushes, which has long since splayed out and has now been semi-retired into a gluing brush. So now we've filled the inside of the lip of the model's base with glue. I'm going to just push that around, push it right up to his feet. Doesn't matter if you go over it a bit. Get it all in there. So it's a nice coating of glue. And push it on his feet as well. Now the reason we're going to do it this way and not base at the end of the model build is that when we undercoat the model, that will basically, the spray paint will go over the glued sand and basically lock it all in and help to make it set. And also we can use a little bit of contrast paint on top of that to give a bit of texture to it, and then maybe some bushes and tufts. So it's a very quick, easy way of basing your model at the actual building stage. So you can see that's nicely filled with that. And we're just going to take our sand bucket or tub, and very simply just roll it in that, shake it off, give it another roll, shake it off, and I'll give it a little tap underneath, and just take off any excess with your thumb, like that. Now that will take a little while to dry because it's PVA, obviously. And you may find as well that once it dries, sometimes it pulls away from the lip just a little, but that's nothing this little blob of paint can't sort at the final stages with whatever you choose to rim the paint, the model's base with. So he's ready to dry, and then we'll undercoat him and we'll make a start on the painting later on. There he is.